skeleton ran out of shampoo in the shower. The arsonist has oddly shaped feet.
What's up, guys? Welcome back to ProSportsRoom. This is week 5 of the NFL, and we're really excited to have you back. Before we get started, let's go ahead and give a shout out to our sponsor, Polk Technology Solutions. Get a website, get online, get found. This guy does great work, whether it's websites, businesses, online businesses, computers, phones. Give him a check out. His website is in the description box below, and let's go ahead and get started. This week we'll be talking about, should the NFL consider having a London team? We're going to do our pick 6 and our fantasy start 'em and sit 'em. What's wrong with the Panthers? Will the Rams win the West? Who's the more dominant defense, Denver or Minnesota? Is Michigan University the real deal?
Oh yeah, we're talking about college now.
Our upcoming season predictions for the NBA.
Oh yeah, we're talking about NBA now.
And since the season's already coming to an end, let's go ahead and talk about some Major League Soccer.
And baseball.
And baseball. Throw that one in there too.
We're not going to talk about baseball.
No one likes baseball. Just kidding.
I like going to the games. That's it.
All right. So, should the NFL consider have a London team? I mean, just look at it like this. Before I even ask you yes or no, consider it like this. Look at the turnout that they're getting from a London team with 2 teams that were doing terrible this year, and then look at it last year. They sent the Jets and the Dolphins over there, who they expected to be really bad. They usually just send really bad, and I think the NFL is already kind of planning this because they're sending relatively bad teams to London, and they're going, all right, London, let's see how many people come out here. And they're showing up. It's like an actual soccer game there. That's how many fans show up to their football game stadium there. And it's like, man.
But do you think that they're getting confused that it's football instead of football?
No, because
that's a big thing over there.
Because they're coming in football jerseys, not football, but actual football jerseys.
You know what I do like about it too? Like, no matter what team is playing, like say it's who played last week, the Jags and the Colts in London. Like, you can see and you see this in every stadium, but they get it more because it's in London. Like, you'll see Jets jerseys, you'll see Falcons jerseys. It's because it is getting big over there. But I don't know. I think that if they are going to expand, I think eventually they should. But before they do that, I think they need to look at Toronto.
I think Toronto would be a cool idea, but I don't know if they want to do that yet. I think that it'd be a really cool idea, but you kind of basically have that with Buffalo. Like Buffalo, you got a lot of Canadian support there. I don't see many people living in Buffalo because it's not a huge city if you honestly think about it, and their stadium is always packed.
Yeah, but what I'm saying is, London, it's kind of like a test trial. Like you said, they're saying, okay, we're going to bring games. We're going to see how many people come out. To where in Toronto, football's already established.
Yeah.
They got the CFL, and they obviously, they watch NFL.
They watch NFL, and they have a good NBA.
Yeah, that was what I was going to talk about next. Whenever Cleveland beat Toronto in the playoffs, LeBron was giving his little post-game speech to the reporter or whatever, and the fans stayed super late. They were just cheering, still just because that's the farthest they got. They didn't even care they lost.
I feel like Toronto, that's kind of the only thing they have. So I mean, it would be great for the NFL to do that. I'm thinking that the NFL should consider having a London team, but not next year. Give it a little bit, because the way that you would have to do it is you would have to bring in 2 teams. Honestly, the way to do it is have a London team and then have 3 teams go over there, but after each game that they play in London, they take a bye week. That way you have to travel back. You don't have that jet lag or anything like that.
It's still going to mess up practice time.
It'll mess up practice time, but you have that bye week to get back into shape and get back everything like that. I think it'd be fun.
Yeah, it would be.
I don't think that they should replace an NFL team now with a London team. I'm not saying don't move the Jags to London because the Jags aren't doing good
Yeah.
in Jacksonville.
I don't even want to talk about them going to London though. I like them in Jacksonville.
I do. I like
But
them a lot.
the NFL's become way too much about money. Like it seems like that's all Goodell is,
Yeah.
good for. Which, like I was telling you today, that friggin' Josh Norman fined $10,000.
Yeah, I don't agree with that.
Friggin'
I don't agree with that at all.
Kelsey does it. He hasn't got flagged. Eric Berry does it. Hasn't got flagged or fined. Who else does it? A lot of people do it. Brandon Cooks does it. Hasn't got fined.
That's another thing. Like we weren't gonna talk about this, but I'll talk about it now.
Yeah.
The NFL has gotten a little bit, and what I mean a little bit, I mean a lot.
A little bit.
More strict on like celebration. Now I get it, like some of the celebrations you shouldn't do. Like I guess the Antonio Brown twerking one was a big deal.
Why?
I don't. I mean, I'm not saying I have a problem with it, but like that's a big deal. But like the whole taunting rule, where if you do one taunt and you get a flag for it, and you get another. If you do another taunting play, that's immediate ejection of the game. I feel like taunting should be more of like I'm getting in your face, I'm dancing in front of your face, and I'm like physically taunting you. I don't feel like holding the ball out like this and flicking it up in the air or spinning the ball is a taunting penalty. I also feel that the NFL should look at it like this. If you're gonna fine somebody for a celebration penalty, like the Josh Norman $10,000 for the arrow, you're welcome. I'll take the $10,000 charge right now.
Yeah. You better be careful. Goodell might be listening.
It's all right, Goodell. Please subscribe.
Yeah.
I feel like if the NFL is going to do that, I don't think that they should keep the money. I honestly think they should donate that to a hospital to where people can actually use that money to celebrate. I don't know. It's just I feel like it's really dumb to penalize somebody for celebrating. Now there's obvious over celebrations, but some of these celebrations are just not worthy of a fine or a penalty or anything like that. So
well, before we stop talking about it, I don't know about you, but I love taunting. I love celebrations. Like, I don't think there should be excessive celebration, and if they are in your face, prove them wrong the next play. You know what I mean? Like, I love taunting. Like, I remember when I was, little, starting to watch football, I loved watching T.O. I loved watching Moss and Ocho.
Because it makes the game fun.
It made it a lot of fun.
It makes it a lot of fun.
Oh man, they're gonna score. What are they gonna do?
Yeah.
Friggin', you never knew if T.O. was gonna come out with a Sharpie or Ocho Cinco was gonna grab one of the pylons, do something with it.
Grab a cell phone or anything like that.
Horn, yeah. But it really has become the no fun league. Like it really has.
It's not even. It's just you watch a game. Like I'm a Jets fan, even though I don't get Jets games in, Florida, unless they're playing the Dolphins. Even like watching other games, you're just like, this isn't like. It just literally looks like they're out there running into each other, not having fun anymore. Yeah, because any time that they mess up, they're gonna get penalized for it. So
yeah,
it's just a little rant that I wanted to talk about.
Yeah,
because it was just.
It is starting to get out of hand.
It's crazy.
Somebody needs to talk about it.
I tried.
Why not us?
What about your Rams? Are they going to win the West?
Maybe. They have to play like they did in Arizona. Like, we're not going to blow anybody out.
You're going to be the 10-6 Jets that went to the playoffs a couple of years ago with Mark Sanchez, where they literally won. They had 8 game-winning drives. Mm-hmm. They had won 10 games and had 8 game-winning drives.
See, I think it's going to be the opposite, though. I don't think we're going to have game-winning drives. I think we're going to have the defense on the field last, and I'm okay with that because our defense is something else.
It's going to be exciting.
See, though, that's the thing. We're going to have to battle every single week because we don't have the offense to score, 30 points consistently.
No.
And we're in a really tough division, obviously. Seattle's been in the Super Bowl, twice in the last 5 years?
3. You might be right. I'm probably wrong. It's twice.
Well, there were less
Nevertheless.
49ers were in it
Yeah.
less than 5 years ago, I'm pretty sure. So Arizona was about to be in it last year, so I don't want to say it's our turn yet, but I think we're going to claw our...
I hope you guys win the West because I love seeing not underdog teams, but like the team that's not expected to win the West, which is an underdog, win the West. I hope you guys win the West, but I don't think you will. I think Drew Stanton's going to come back because Drew Stanton did really good last year.
Yeah, he did. I was actually worried when he came in to replace Palmer.
He didn't do very good last week, but he also wasn't probably warmed up, which isn't an excuse, but
it's really not. You're an NFL quarterback.
I think Arizona's going to win the West, and I think you guys are going to be a solid number 5, number 6 wild card, and you guys are going to at least win one playoff game.
See, though, I didn't give my answer. I think we are going to win the West. I think we're going to end up having one game advantage over Seattle. I think Arizona's fixing to self-destruct, to be honest.
I hope not.
I hope so.
I
can't stand Arizona.
Speaking of another self-destructing team, what's going on with the Panthers?
I don't know. I was hoping you'd have the answer because
I can tell you the answer. Everyone bought into the hype of Carolina being a big deal, and all year last year, even though they went 15-1. They weren't as good as everyone thought they were.
Yes, they were.
Because all they had to do was figure out how to stop Cam Newton. And this year, they had the entire offseason to look at tape and realize, Denver did it, so Denver came back and did it again. Cam Newton has got something going on, and he is not his typical self. Honestly,
he's also getting targeted, but
he may.
Nothing about that.
Okay, well, last week that helmet-to-helmet contact was his own fault. You're not gonna showboat into the end zone and not expect to get hit.
Cam is not at fault for anything.
Yes. Anyways, I just think Cam Newton's is coming back down to earth after that amazing performance they had last year. I think he's coming back down to earth, and teams are realizing, okay, we'll just put 2 middle linebacker spies on you, and we'll rush you, and then you just gotta actually make the throw to the quarterback or to the wide receiver. And he's not having the best time of locating these receivers and getting them the ball.
I have no doubt in my mind that he couldn't get it to the receivers. He's got a freaking rocket arm.
I'm not saying that he can't, but I'm not saying that he never has been, but he's having a hard time right now.
Yeah, because his offensive line needs to step up. We saw in the Super Bowl, how many times was he freaking rushed? Like, Von Miller.
So they found out. They literally found out what you need to do. Just rush them.
So maybe that's what's wrong with them is their offensive line. They really need to step it up because there's no reason to be 15-1 and they're 1-3 already.
Come back and be 1-3.
Yeah.
That's the only thing that I can think of. I don't think Josh Norman is that big of a deal because he's not being that big of a deal in Washington.
Yeah, but they're 1-3. After being not beaten in the Super Bowl, I think they were embarrassed.
They were.
But honestly, they were all dabbing out all year celebrating.
It wasn't the best Super Bowl to watch, but they were embarrassed.
Yeah, because they're celebrating every game. They're saying, if you can't stop us, then don't say nothing. They finally got stopped, but you don't see them doing anything like that.
Yeah, I saw Cam do one thing in Atlanta, and he was down. I think he was down by 14 points. Yeah. So I'm like, you can't celebrate when you're down, because then people are just gonna look at you and laugh.
Yeah, that's the immaturity taking place.
Yeah. All right, guys, it's about that time. It's Pick 6. Really excited for this. It's where we go ahead and pick 6 games from this upcoming week, and we determine the outcome of these games. We'll go ahead and put the standings out next week to let you know who's winning, because we did it the first week, and this is our second week doing it. The 6 games that we're going to talk about are Arizona at San Francisco, Washington at Baltimore, Houston at Minnesota, the New York Jets at Pittsburgh, Atlanta at Denver, Buffalo at Los Angeles Rams. This is going to be a lot of fun, Caleb. So what do you think is going to... Hello, everyone. It is me, Hurricane Matthew.
No, Matthew.
And I have something to say about Pick 6. The winds are going to be roaring in Arizona. And Arizona's going to beat San Francisco. While the Buffalo Bills go ahead and fall over like all these winds and trees, because of my wind, they will fall down to the Los Angeles Rams.
Yeah.
Minnesota will dominate Houston. Just believe me, I can guarantee it. Pittsburgh, upset alert. We're making a left turn on this one. The New York Jets will beat Pittsburgh in Pittsburgh. Antonio Brown will have 3 catches for 7 yards. Well, that was great because the power went out and Hurricane Matthew showed up out of nowhere.
Yeah.
Way to ruin my podcast, Hurricane Matthew. So, pick 6. Who you got? Arizona at San Fran.
I don't know. Drew Stanton's starting, but I think San Francisco's a little bit tired of being bullied. But they also have Blaine Gabbert. But Arizona also has Honey Badger.
Can't go wrong with Honey Badger.
But they're also in San Francisco. So
Basically all
I'm
game.
going to pick Arizona.
I'm picking Arizona. There's
Because
no,
of Honey
I
Badger.
don't even need to talk about it. I'm picking Arizona. Houston at Minnesota.
Houston, no, Minnesota.
Minnesota. There's no
Minnesota's
discussion
going
about
to
it.
shut them down so bad.
New York Jets at Pittsburgh.
At Pittsburgh,
At Pittsburgh.
I'm going to pick. Who am I going to pick?
I know who you're gonna pick. You can go ahead and say it. It's alright.
Who am
It's
I
no
gonna
big
pick?
deal. I'm not gonna be upset.
Who am I going to pick?
You're gonna pick.
The Jets. The Jets are going to win.
There we go. Thanks. I like that. I think the Jets are gonna win. I don't care. I'll throw my bias hat on. I'll say I'm Skip Bayless all day. I don't care. I think the Jets are gonna win. And to even further on this, stop telling me that I need to sit Fitzpatrick.
Oh,
It's not gonna happen. It's not gonna happen.
They're not sitting
They're
Fitzpatrick?
not gonna sit Fitzpatrick.
Oh, well,
There's
then-
no point in even.
Then I'm picking Pittsburgh.
Okay, well you can pick Pittsburgh, and I'll stick with Fitzpatrick because they see what Gino does every day at practice, in the film room, in the meeting room, when he's asleep, what he's not doing, what he should be doing, and they still go back to Fitzpatrick every time. I'm not stressing out because last year we lost 4 out of 5 games in the middle of the season, which put us behind and didn't get us into the playoffs, but that was last season. Now this is this season. And we also have the first 6 hardest games in the NFL. So, yeah, you guys just calm down. I'm picking the Jets, and if we lose, then I'll never pick the Jets again.
Yeah, you will.
Yeah, I will. Atlanta at Denver. Who you got?
Denver.
Denver.
Matt
I'm
Ryan's
not-
going to get shut down. Julio's not going to have 300
No,
yards.
Julio will have 57 yards.
How many catches? 1.
13 catches. No, I'm just kidding. He'll have 5 catches. Buffalo at Rams. Everyone is picking Buffalo for this, and I'm going LA. I'm not buying the Buffalo hype because
Shut down a third string
you
quarterback.
beat Jacoby Brissett.
Mhm.
His name is Brissett or
Now,
Brissett.
don't get me wrong.
Don't get me
New
wrong.
England
He's
is
not
still good.
He's
without
not
Brady, but it's Brissett. It's not Brady.
right.
Okay. Were you really expecting them to go 4-0 though?
No.
Okay. Well, LA by like a safety.
And I'm gonna throw in one because I have this weird feeling. New England at Cleveland. Now listen, listen. I'm not saying this because I'm a Jets fan. I'm not saying this because I'm being
Put your biased hat on.
I'm not putting this on my bias hat or anything like that. I'm just saying this. What if Tom Brady and the Patriots come back and they barely beat Cleveland or they lose to Cleveland? I'm not saying it's going to happen,
Mm-mm.
but I just have this feeling that Cleveland is not going to get blown out. And they're either going to win this game or it's going to be a last-minute Cody Kessler mess-up, which is going to lose that game for them.
No.
I hope Cleveland wins because I'm a Jets fan, but I honestly think Cleveland has a really good chance at potentially beating New England. Now, I'd still pick New England to win. Yeah, there's no doubts about it. I would still pick New England to win.
Terrific Tom is back.
But
he's on his revenge tour.
But cheating Tom Brady is coming back, and I'm just saying, I don't know what it is, I just feel that he's not going to be as good in his first week back as everyone else thinks. Like, everyone's like, oh, they're playing the Browns, check it off. He's going to get 75 touchdowns in one game, and he'll be perfectly fine. And I'm like, I mean, just look at it. If you're Bill Belichick and you're going into the room, tell me how you plan to cover a 6'6", 235-pound wide receiver who can also play safety, run the ball like a running back, catch the ball like a receiver, and throw the ball like a quarterback.
I love Pryor.
I'm not saying Pryor's the one who's going to win that game.
He's not the LeBron James of Cleveland football. You know?
Speaking of which, fantasy start him and sit him. 2 players you should tell the people to start, and 2 people that you should sit.
2 people you should sit. Anybody on Atlanta's offense or anybody on Houston's offense.
Anybody going against Denver or Minnesota, just sit them.
Sit them. They're done. They're not even
I
playing
feel bad
this
for saying that, but...
No, I don't feel bad at all. They're not playing this week. The only one that might have an okay game is Julio.
I don't know, man, because my thing is like, I would sit Julio, and it's not because of the one game. It's not because he's playing against Denver. Part of it is, but the other part of it is like, last week he had a 300-yard game. Don't get me wrong, that's really, really good. But I think, I'm like 100% sure that he's only had 480 yards, and that puts him number 1 in receiving yards, which it's not that great if you honestly look at it, because he had 300 yards the last game. So he's averaging 120 yards in the first 4 games, but you take out that 300 yards, he was averaging 60 yards a game. That's
hey, you know what?
It's not the best for your fantasy.
It's really good.
I mean,
it's really good research. I didn't even think about that. He was just such a savage
he was such a savage last week, and you're like, oh man. Even then, he only scored 1 touchdown. I mean,
last week, 12 receptions, 300 flat, and he had 25 yards average per catch. Yeah, that's freaking amazing.
That's amazing. But like I said,
it's like Madden.
The 3 weeks before, I was averaging about 60 yards a catch, or 60 yards a game. So I would sit Julio Jones, and the other person that I would sit, just to be on the safe side, and a lot of people are going to be like, no, don't do that, I would sit Odell. And it's not because last week he only had 23 yards. It's because he's bringing all of the wrong negativity to his team, and people are realizing, okay, cool, we'll double cover Odell.
He's going to throw a fit.
He's going to throw a fit, and he's not going to want to play anymore. So he's not going to want to, like, participate. So on the follow around, sit Odell and start Sterling Shepard.
Sterling Shepard
has averaged a touchdown in almost every game, and I don't know if he got one last week. I can't remember. But I would start Sterling Shepard. This rookie is doing amazing.
He really is.
I would start Sterling Shepard. And the other one that I would start, just because they're going against San Diego, I would start Derek Carr. If you need a quarterback to win because you have any of your quarterbacks on bye, like me who has Drew Brees on bye, I picked up Derek Carr. The other one that I had, which was a toss-up, that I've been fighting with all week, and I finally sat down and just made my decision, was, do I go with Tampa Bay? Do I go with Jameis Winston at Carolina and that defense? Or do I go Andy Dalton against Dallas defense? and I was fighting with it all week this week, and the part that made me finally make the decision was consistency. So I picked, if you're looking for if let's say Derek Carr's gone and you need a backup quarterback because one of your quarterbacks is on bye this week, I would go with Andy Dalton. I know they're going against Dallas, and Dallas's defense has done somewhat decent against other quarterbacks. I would go against Andy Dalton only because he's got AJ Green and he's very consistent. He's been averaging 20 points in the last three or four games, and he's not making mistakes. If he is, it's only one. The reason why I stayed away from Jameis is because you don't know if 500 yards, 7 touchdowns Jameis is going to show up, or 200 yards and 5 picks with no touchdowns and 3 lost fumbles. Jameis is going to show up. So if you're looking for a backup, I'd go Andy or Derek Carr, and I would definitely start Sterling Shepard and sit Odell.
You know who I'm going to start?
I
don't need to. I only need one.
Who are you going to start?
Terrific Tom. He's
mean,
freaking going to go off in Cleveland. Watch. I'm telling you. He's on his little revenge tour right now.
He can stay on the revenge tour.
He's going to win the Super Bowl this year. That's all I'm saying.
All right. Well,
and he's going to retire.
We're not doing Super Bowl picks. That's week 10.
Hey, listen. I'm just telling you.
I'm just telling you.
Okay.
Speaking of dominant defense,
Mm-hmm.
we were just talking about the 2 defenses you don't want to go against. Which one's more dominant, Denver or Minnesota?
Right now, and I really want to pick Minnesota, but I was on Twitter, and shout out to the D is silent for pointing this out to me. I obviously knew Denver won the Super Bowl last year, and it's not that Minnesota is a far superior defense right now. It's just Denver has that leadership that Minnesota doesn't have yet. They have
big names on that defense that they can rally around and put that team on.
Yeah, and they have the experience. They're pretty much all 11 of them, I think, are champions now. But the stats speak for themselves, though. Minnesota's defense is a lot better. They've only given up 50 points to where Denver's given up 64. They've forced 11 turnovers where Denver's forced 8. 15 sacks. Denver has 17. That's pretty much the only thing that they have on them. But what I really like is Minnesota they've had a tougher schedule this year.
Yeah, I was going to say, Minnesota's gone up against some pretty tough teams, while Denver hasn't, but still, it's still a toss-up.
Yeah, and Minnesota, they've given up, the most they've given up is 16 points. And Denver's given up 2 20-point games. So Minnesota, the highest they've given up is 16. So obviously in the long run, for years to come, I'm going to pick Minnesota.
Right. But
as of right now, I gotta stick with Denver.
Yeah, I'm gonna stay with Denver. I mean, just looking at what they've done to the last 5 quarterbacks and having a pick in every game in the last 5 games, obviously going back to the playoffs last year, it is just disgusting of how they are just able to dominate these offenses. Don't get me wrong, you'll have some games where you're like, oh, this is gonna change, but they're just dominating.
Well, I never thought in a million years I would have seen a team that didn't need Peyton Manning.
I would have never thought that I would see a team, and this goes for both, that their star quarterback leaves or gets injured, and they're running on all cylinders perfectly fine. I mean, if I had to pick a team that whose defense is quote unquote carrying them more, I'm gonna say Minnesota, because no Teddy Bridgewater, and floppy sleeves.
Let's give it up for floppy sleeves.
Yeah, floppy sleeves is not doing bad because Stephon Diggs is the second leading receiver in receiving yards. So
but this is floppy sleeves we're talking about.
This is floppy sleeves.
I had to deal with him for I don't even want to know how long.
I don't think he had floppy sleeves back then, so maybe that was the issue. He needs floppy sleeves. If you guys don't know what floppy sleeves, we're talking about Sam Bradford.
Maybe they're made out of silk. He likes the way it feels on his third arm.
But I mean, right now, I don't see another defense that can compare to what Denver is doing. Like, if I were to go, all right, look, we're playing against Minnesota, I'd be like, all right, look, if we hold them to 21 points,
We're good.
we're good. If I go up against Denver, I'm like, we have to score 75 points for us to even think about winning this game. And I'm not even sure if they're going to score 7 points. So it's tough, man.
Yeah.
I'm going to go with Denver.
And they're only, if they don't get injured, they're only going to get better.
Yeah.
And that's another defense, too, that you got to watch out for, because if Russell Wilson starts to have a better season, last week he had a great game.
Yeah.
Week before he didn't. So if he can stay consistent and, give his defense some time to rest, watch out for Seattle.
I don't know. I think Seattle's lost too many pieces.
I don't know, man. They looked good last week.
But it's about halftime. We want to go ahead and take a break and thank our sponsors.
Thanks, George.
We want to give a shout out to Polk Technology Solutions. Get a website, get online, get found. This guy does great work, whether it's phones, computers, websites, businesses. He's there to help you 24/7, even through a hurricane named Matthew. He's got your back. But we just want to thank you guys so much for tuning in. If you're still here with us, go ahead and like and subscribe on the video.
Do it.
We really appreciate that.
Good comment.
And
you be nice about it. Do it.
Thank, please. I mean, I don't want him to be mean.
I don't like being mean. When I have to be mean.
But we're gonna go ahead and steer away from the NFL because we need to talk about a little bit more than NFL, since this is the Pro Sports Room.
We do.
And we're gonna talk about the University of Michigan.
We're gonna Pro Sports Room. Let's talk about college.
We're gonna talk about something that's not
though,
pro.
because they're going to be pros.
Jim Harbaugh is
Khakis.
legit with khakis. I don't follow college as much as Caleb does, which is great because Caleb has more experience. So, Michigan, the real deal?
Well, I'm looking at the schedule. I was really, really impressed with the Penn State win. Put up 49 points, held them to 10. Penn State's not good, but at the same time, it is a conference game. They're going to take that a little more seriously, talking about Penn State. So what I was really impressed with was the Wisconsin game. They have one of the best defenses in college football. They're pretty good. And we beat them 14-7. So when I look at games like those two, it's like, yeah, they're pretty legit. But when I look at our schedule, we've played Hawaii, UCF, Colorado, and then we got Rutgers, Illinois is coming up, Maryland. Iowa's not a team this year, but it's still a conference game. And Indiana, if they really want to make a name for themselves, they have to play tougher teams.
You have to win those. You have to win those games and then play tougher teams.
Because the way college works, and I don't like that. If you lose one game, Louisville lost a game. They're still I forget. I think they're number 5 now, but they still have a shot of making the playoffs. To where if we go 11-0 and then we lose to Ohio State, the last game of the season, we're pretty much out of the playoffs.
I think in college, if you lose at the beginning of the season, it's okay.
Yeah, it's okay.
It's not that big of a deal.
So don't freak out, Louisville fans.
You can work your way up. I think that Louisville game was legit. It was probably one of the best games that I've watched in a long time. I don't think Clemson's the real deal.
No.
I think Louisville kind of just gave up in that game. But I did look around a little bit on at some of the games that are coming up this week. And one of the top 10 games that I saw, and I'm calling an upset on it now, and I don't know anything about either one of these teams. Obviously I know who they are, but I don't know quarterbacks or anything like that. I'm going to say Arkansas is going to beat Alabama. Just be really cautious about that.
So.
I just think Arkansas is going to come out, make a big surprise. They won't jump up to number 1. They'll obviously be in top 4. But I think Arkansas...
Not even, I don't think.
Yeah, they're 7 right now.
Yeah.
I think 7 or 9.
They'll go to 6.
No.
Well,
you beat number 1 and yeah.
With the way college works.
Yeah, with the way college works. I think Michigan could be a real big contender. They have to beat Ohio State for them to actually have a chance to be in the playoffs. But if they don't get in the playoffs, they obviously have a solid bowl game.
Yeah.
Rose Bowl,
Mm-hmm.
Sugar Bowl, all those bowls, about Todd Bowls. But yeah, I mean, it's gonna be fun because we're gonna talk about more about colleges once playoffs starts kicking in, Heisman and everything comes in. But speaking of something that's coming up really, really soon,
Hurricane Matthew. Today,
Hurricane Matthew is going on right now.
Oh, you know what though? Before we get off the college topic, speaking of hurricanes, who's gonna win? Hurricanes or Florida State?
I mean, look, I like Dalvin Cook. I like Jameis Winston because he came from not because he came from Florida State, but I watched Jameis Winston when he was at Florida State. And I have a lot of friends that are Florida State or Miami.
Yeah.
And it's like I feel if I go on this podcast and go Florida State wins, but then I go to work and someone's like, who do you think's gonna win? I'm like, oh yeah, Miami's totally gonna win. Don't tell anybody though.
Yeah.
Like it's gonna get me in trouble.
Gotta be 100%.
I gotta be 100% on one side. Western Kentucky's gonna win. Go Hilltoppers.
Hurricane Matthew's gonna win.
I'm gonna go with Florida State. I don't see them losing back-to-back games practically against Louisville and North Carolina. I think they're gonna come out and they're gonna win. I don't think it's gonna be big. I think it'll be a close game, which isn't gonna help either team in playoff or college playoff rankings. But I can see Florida State winning by a field goal by Roberto Aguayo Jr. Or whatever his name is.
Poor guy. Man, no, I think Miami's gonna win. I think they're the real deal this year. I think it's finally their turn in the ACC after a while. They're gonna go to Louisville eventually. And they're gonna smack one of them turds in the mouth.
It's not gonna happen. I can guarantee you that.
I don't know. Miami's looking good.
Yeah, well, Lamar Jackson also looks like the best quarterback in college football right now.
Yeah, well.
Not that Deshaun Watson kid.
So did Deshaun Watson. He
Yeah,
looked
well,
great last year. And he still looks good, but he
looks okay.
He looked like that last year. I don't know. Nobody's talking about him.
No.
He's already out of the Heisman race.
Yeah, well,
Because
your boy Lamar. Action Jackson.
Kendrick Lamar.
Action Jackson.
Subscribe.
Throwing down.
Action Bronson.
Speaking of action, we're going to talk about the NBA all day. Warriors. They're going to go...
Oh, yeah, you got a
They're gonna go
Olympic squad.
84-0. Is that how many games are in the NBA? 84-0?
82.
82. Sorry, they're going to win 2 more because they're going to have 2 bye weeks.
Ooh!
Because they're going to play the Cavs twice, and those are bye weeks.
Ooh!
So you might as well just go ahead and make that 84-0. Kevin Durant and Steph Curry are tied for the scoring league title. They both have the same amount of points. So then they're like, okay, look, we'll go off of assist. But they have the same amount of assists. So they just give them both a gold medal. And they don't even do the entire series for the playoffs. They go ahead and give the Warriors the title and the trophy and everything like that. And they do like a runner-up game.
Yeah.
They do like a second and third place game. And it's going to be Toronto and second and third place game is going to be Toronto and San Antonio. And Toronto's going to win that one. So Toronto's going to be second. San Antonio's going to be third.
No.
Cleveland's going to explode. The city is just terrible. Everything about it. Joakim Noah.
Hey, but seriously, you need to stop taking fashion advice from Kanye. Stop wearing trash bags on podcasts. And let's get talking real because, you know what? Y'all blew up a 3-1 lead. And y'all got Kevin Durant, yeah, fine, but what has he done so far?
He's practically carried a team. I think that the Warriors.
You got Russ.
I think the Warriors are gonna win the West. Obviously, that's just my prediction.
Yeah, that's gonna happen.
The East is just
Cavs.
It's gonna be the Cavs, just because the East is so weak. Like, don't get me wrong.
I could go out.
The East got some, like the East had some switch ups. You know, everyone from the Bulls went to the Knicks, and everyone from Miami went to the Bulls, and it's like, oh no, look at that, we have new teams, we're gonna be so much better. But it's like,
are going to explode.
You didn't get anybody from the West. The Mavs are going to be terrible this year.
No, I was just fixing to say
because
that.
Harrison Barnes was paid a lot of money to do nothing, unfortunately. And I love Harrison Barnes. He's a really nice guy.
I do too. Mark Cuban should have watched the Olympics before he signed him.
Yes, he should have. Just in the Olympics, he didn't do anything. Harrison Barnes is a very good systematic player, and he has to be in a system that works for him. And he's not one of those, let me just jump up and make a shot.
Yeah. Listen, we like you a lot.
We love you, Harrison.
Don't take this the wrong way, but you need
a system around
Steve Kerr.
You need Steve Kerr. The Knicks are going to be really, really bad. They're going to be either a 500 or below team, which in the East you'll get an 8th spot in the playoffs.
You get like a 4.
Toronto's going to be second in that.
I think Toronto will be legit this year, though.
If Washington can get their problems fixed between John Wall and Bradley Beal, they could be a number 3 team. There's a lot coming up in the NBA, guys. It's just preseason right now, so if you want my early prediction, I'm going to be biased and say the Warriors are going to win it. If they don't win it this year, then they'll win it next year. But they're kind of at the mentality of we put this team together to win now. Kevin Durant is there to win now. So the pieces are around them to win it.
If they don't win, and it's going to take a lot to happen for them not to win, but if they don't, everything Steph has done, everything Durant has done,
will be tarnished.
It's done. There's no way that
that's what they were saying about LeBron last year. If LeBron didn't win last year, he would be 2-4 in the finals.
Yep. And
everything that he would have done would have been tarnished. He's 3-3 now. You broke even. Don't go back. Don't go back. Just retire now.
Just blow the playoffs. Get your money. Make bets.
Yeah. Also, congratulations to LeBron on being the highest paid player in the NBA.
Yeah, finally. Seriously, he does deserve it.
Don't get me wrong. I'm not I don't worship LeBron James because that's just weird. But that's the one reason why I don't like him, because people just worship him like he's a god. But
I don't worship him, but I do love him.
He's really really good, but he deserves the money. I mean, he's already got a lifetime deal with Nike. So
what I like about him, though, he makes a lot of money, but he gives back.
He gives half of it away.
A lot of money. You know how many kids he's put through college?
Oh yeah, man. He's done so many kids through college. Shout out to LeBron for being
great. Being a great guy. Good guy LeBron.
Good guy LeBron.
Even though people look at him as a villain. I don't know why, but
it's because he's a villain. Alright guys, so we're going to talk about something that a lot of pro sports people aren't 100% fond with, because it's still new, I guess, to the American culture. But we're going to talk about soccer, and I'm really excited about it because it's one of those sports that I grew up playing and everything like that, but it's growing on people and it's a lot of fun. Unfortunately, Orlando lost last Saturday, so they are no longer in the playoff contentions. But 6 teams go into the playoffs, and right now your top 3 teams in the Eastern Conference is the New York Red Bulls, New York City FC, and Toronto. And in the Western Conference, FC Dallas, Colorado Rapids, and LA Galaxy are your top 3. The bottom 3 in each conference, they're still being debated whether they're going to make it or not, because there's still 2 more games left in the season, and anything can happen. But in my eyes, honestly, I think the team that can actually take the entire cup is going to be a Western Conference team that goes by Colorado Rapids. Colorado Rapids have Jermaine Jones and Tim Howard. It's just a really solid U.S. men's national team structure. For the Western Conference anyways. Eastern Conference, you have another U.S. men's national team conference type of team with Toronto FC. They're a real sleeper because Sebastian Giovinco went out, and he's practically the top scorer in the league.
He is.
So between him and Josie Altidore and Michael Bradley, it's a really solid team. So I think those 2 can be in the finals, and I would probably go with Colorado just because I'm going with the defense. It's such a dominant defense. But don't be surprised if you see Seattle keep climbing up. Unfortunately, Clint Dempsey went out with an irregular heartbeat, and he's going to be out for the rest of the season. So they don't know how long he's going to be out for, but hopefully he has a speedy recovery. But Jordan Morris, the Stanford graduate, is legit. He's one of the best. He's one of the best all-around strikers that I've seen, besides Christian Pulisic, in a long time. So I wouldn't be surprised if Seattle came out and did some big things.
Names have changed.
Yeah.
Like I remember being in middle school, I had a friend, Emerson. I had a friend, he would tell me all about soccer, and he would try to get me into it, and I'd be like, dude, I respect it, and I like playing it. I'm not good, but I like it, but I'm not gonna.
For people who aren't 100% on soccer, the only thing that I can say is go to a game.
Yeah.
You go to a game, and it's like any other stadium experience that you'll ever kind of see. In a football game, you have diehard fans, but if the score's 3, let's just say for soccer, if the score's 3-0 in soccer and Orlando City's losing, you'll have some of the fans who just came just to see a game leave, but you have the supporter section, what they call in high school the
Student section.
The student section. You have the fan club, the fan zone, whatever you want to call it. That section doesn't leave. They are constantly jumping up and down, waving flags, banging drums, having the best time of their life, because they know that right there can still have the potential of allowing your team to win because you're there supporting them regardless.
And that is one thing I do like about Orlando. Growing up here in Lakeland, soccer is not a big deal. So whenever I started seeing these Orlando City stickers, I was like, what is that? Yeah. And then it turned out it was a soccer team, and I didn't think it would take off like it did. Like that, Central Florida is really backing them. It really seems like they are backing them. I know you're a huge fan.
I'm a huge fan. I'm really glad.
I need to go to a game. I need to check that out.
Yeah, so I mean, for MLS, we're really excited. There's a lot of things that can be going on. But if your team's on a bye week in the NFL, just sit back, give it a watch, and it's actually a chess match. You'll have to actually sit down and watch it and be like, this is entertaining to watch. If you want me to tell you a team to watch, to be excited about, watch a Seattle Sounders FC game or watch a New York City FC game. The two of them have big name players that your average Joe would somewhat know, and they both score a lot of goals. And I mean, New York Red Bulls score a lot of goals too, but those are teams that if you want to watch and you want to see a lot of goal scoring, you can watch those.
I think I'm gonna have to do that. I need to pick a team. I think that might get me interested. So it might be in between Orlando or New York.
I got him. He's an Orlando fan. You're welcome, Orlando City.
I'll try. I'm learning, guys.
But I mean, for week 5 of the NFL and our third podcast, it's gonna close it out for us. Thank you guys a lot.
Yeah, and first of all, before we go, we want to give one more shout out to Pulp Technology Solutions. Like you said, they do a great job. Anything you want with phones or websites, that's your people. That's your George. But yeah, we had a really good week last week. We got really good numbers, views, subscriptions. Let's keep it going. If there's any suggestions that you guys would like to, let us know, just comment below. Please like and subscribe. We'll see you next week.
See you guys.
Yep. Okay, it's rap packed to my pulse flat. We keep it real, no false rap. I got 4 cars and they all black. Got 4 bras and they all that. We call that ballin'. Doing this is my calling.